back to Tiger Dragon Storm's podcast, the Spiritual Awakening Show. This is quite a interesting question. I cried, like ugly cried, during meditation. Has anyone ever experienced this? Has anyone ever? Most probably. So, when this happens, with me, for example, it was the breaking up of the belief that I was the ego, and in turn seeing that I've never been the ego. It's like saying goodbye to your absolute best friend. Absolutely your best friend, because it's always been there. Everything you say you are, this ego has been there. It's the ego that is saying it. It's closer than close, the most intimate part of you. You cannot even talk or think without an ego, because you need that ego for that sense of there is a subject-object relationship. So when I realized essentially I'm not that, and I had to say goodbye to this wonderful mind that we call the ego, wonderful aspect of the mind rather that we call the ego, just spontaneous crying just came out. It was like a releasing of old beliefs, a releasing of attachments. So I was becoming attachment-less. So without knowing much more about your particular experience, this can often happen when you have really broken through a particular barrier within your belief system. When it happens during meditation in the stillness, to be more exact. So it's definitely a good thing, because tears, they carry our emotions away. They are physical representations of emotions. And the mind needs a physical representation for it to truly believe in something. So yeah, it's a good thing. Nothing to worry about, nothing to cry about, ironically. Nothing to be sad about or even happy about. It just is what it is, and it had to happen. Because even being happy about it, like, yay, I did it, that brings you back into the ego. So just be aware that it happened, and look at yourself, like, how do you feel about it? Do you feel better? Do you feel lighter? Do you feel more realized? As I said, it helped me, and it just happened. I didn't plan it, and it seems to be the similar thing for you. So to anybody else listening, of course, these things can happen, and it may have happened to you. Don't fret. Go with it. Let it out. Don't hold back. Unless, of course, you have to for practical reasons, like you're in a boardroom meeting. But props to you if you let it out in a boardroom meeting. But yes, when you can, be in a quiet place, and if you meditate and it happens to happen like this, or if it just happens even without you meditating, don't hold it back. That would be my number one advice for you there. Don't hold back. Let it out. Life is trying to push it out. The mind is finally breaking free of its limited belief, so it can reattach again, or come together again as a super mind, a more woke mind, a more realized mind, a higher level mind. Because the mind will always be, but the mind puts limits on itself. So when you break through a layer, the mind comes back supercharged. If you hold it, then you're not going to break through that level to go to the next stage in your journey. So yes, very interesting question, and I kind of forgot that happened to me, but it just reminded me, and it definitely helped my journey. The ugly crying during meditation. Oh boy, yeah. Crying out of every hole. Crying out of my eyes, crying out of my mouth, like dribbling, all of that. Oh my gosh. But the feeling afterwards, complete clarity and peace and love. So don't hold back love. Love can appear in many different ways. Sometimes it's through the tears. I hope you enjoyed listening or watching, and I'll see you in the next podcast. Thank you for listening or watching this episode. If you are listening to it on my podcast, please follow. If you're watching this podcast on YouTube, please subscribe, and you'll stay up to date with the latest answers to the many interesting questions that the spiritual world has to offer. See you in the next one.